I'm going to die at the end of this video. Braincells and the Mysteries, the third season of Braincell's for something. It's also the best mainline season. And mainline series because Braincell's for co-host isn't a mainline. Grimm wants to gaslight us into thinking it is the main series, and trying to leave All Stars into the abyss, when it could be the best season of the entire series. Just bring an episode from All Stars on the weekends of September. The reason All Stars isn't the best season is because there is only 7 episodes, but if it had at least 10, it might be the best season, if Grimm continued. Also, I'm not saying that BNTM is the best season because of nostalgia, it's because the other seasons are just worse. All Stars because what I just said, Fame and Revenge is honestly underwhelming, and the first season. You might be a psychopath if you consider that the best season. But what is Braincell's and the Mysteries? Well, it's basically World Tour, much like Braincell's for the Win Season 2. However, there are different locations this time around. There are some episodes taken from Braincell's for the Win, but it's mostly different. And honestly, despite being 2 years old, and being dominated by the newer episodes of the show, this season actually has some good-ass episodes. Some of them are actually really good, but there's also garbages on the way, like Disappointment in the Game of Life. Oh god, I don't think I can even say that title. Let's just say that this is episode 12. Honestly, deciding the bottom spot was way easier than deciding the best episode, because this episode is actually garbage. The challenge is repetitive. We've seen climbing up a tower episode 2 times in Braincell's for the Win. While I don't necessarily love Shanghai from BFTW, I do think it's a little bit overhated. Because it did do a good job on trying to make every character important, while also having some funny moments. Something that episode 12 doesn't have. Oh yeah, I hate 2 in this episode. Instead of being threatening, like in some episodes, he's more a whiny ear than an outright ultimatum. Him turning evil in this episode is also stupid. Not Zero is stupid, just shut the f up girl. Honestly, everyone in this episode was boring, and it's even worse when you realize that this episode has a horrendous pacing. I mean, half of this episode is focused on the first part of the challenge, which is probably the worst part of the episode. And that thing drags everything about this challenge. Braincell's for the Win Tower climbing challenges actually do a better job at making the second part of the challenge feel like it isn't rushed. Honestly, the Paris Infiltrator invalidates this episode's entire existence. And the most infuriating thing about this episode is that the second part of the episode says that they have to look for an anime convention, which doesn't even happen in this episode. They do mention the convention, but they didn't even add anime stuff into the episode. So why the hell would you even add a second part to the challenge? If they included it, I honestly would have considered this episode so bad that it's amazing. But no, it's just an awful episode. The reason this episode isn't irredeemable is that I honestly kinda liked when AJ and Santi bumped into each other. That was pretty cute. This is also the first episode where Santi grows more soft, but honestly, too little too late. Grimm already did an amazing job at assassinating Santi's character for a whole 7 episodes, and considering this is his second to last episode, that's honestly pretty embarrassing. This episode sucks, man. I am never touching this episode again, and honestly, so do you. Water. Atmosphere! This episode made me drink water, made me realize that I should drink water instead of watching this boring ass episode. It's kinda funny that I ranked 2 non-elimination episodes as the worst. They're not all bad, but I like to see eliminations more. Also, is that a bird I see is in the middle of the 2 worst episode of the season. Yo, I hope that episode is good to make up for these terrible episodes. Okay, this episode isn't as insufferable as episode 12, but I honestly think this episode is way more boring. And this might actually be one of the few episodes that actually got worse over time. And honestly, this one got hit with it the most. There are more positives in this episode. For instance, while the challenge might be boring, the concept is actually pretty good. It's basically the textbook definition of a Mr. Beast challenge. And unlike episode 12, not everyone here is boring. In fact, I like 2 in this episode, not his best episode, but manipulating DJ is actually pretty smart. Cliffside and DJ do have a pretty awful joke, but aside from that, they're pretty decent, and Not Zero was just kinda whatever. And that's where the positives end, because this might actually be the most boring and forgettable episode at the same time, which is miraculous, and it does an awful job at exploring on how exciting of a place Montevideo is. And that's about it. It's a very bad episode, that isn't bad because it's insulting, but because it's worthless. Alright, those were the only 2 D-tier episodes, not bad honestly, and we don't have a lot of C-tier episodes, so let's get to them, starting with...
It's beginning to look a lot like
Christmas! Everywhere you go!
I don't have a lot to say about a Christmas special, since it's relatively simple, yet, honestly not all that interesting. Challenge, really good actually. Sammy getting out, honestly a mixed bag, but, not the end of the world. The body pillow storyline, yeah, that's what holds this episode back. The episode revolves around Santi's body pillow has been stolen. Where the f did that even came from? And then Sammy bought the body pillow, and Santi blames her, getting her out of the game. Then Santi says that she scammed her and then turns evil, and she transforms, into Sammy so the other contestant wouldn't know. Hey wait a second, magic is banned. The assassination of Santi is somehow even worse than Star's assassination during All Stars, and the fact that 2 is already a villain, so why do we need another one? Anyways, next. Smash or Pass German edition is one of those episodes that I just can't seem to understand what is happening in it. I mean, alone with that strange title, you may think this episode is like, oh yeah, time to see our 34 pictures of girls. Grim does hate our 34, and so do I, but honestly, yeah, I'll just shut up, but actually it's a Smash Bros Ultimate episode. And honestly, that sounds like a slam dunk. But man, what the heck even is this episode? Like there was so much going on, that I didn't even know where was I, and not in a good way. It's not a bad episode, but I just don't know what to think of it. I think what makes this episode confusing is the inclusion of the OG cast, and I don't know why, but this is not the episode they should have been included. I think an episode like World's Football Collapse would have suited them way better, because it would have been cool to see them steal the football, while they just kinda exist here. Oh yeah, did I talk about Star in the Christmas special? Well, because she's here, and that inclusion was terrible. Ivy smacking everyone in the nuts isn't good. Grass dying out of nowhere was honestly pretty funny. And Better and Santi's Smash Bros fighting was honestly pretty novel. I also like that this episode is both an viewer voting elimination and a contestant vote. I know it's weird to send out 2 contestants in 2 different voting in the same episode, and I also don't get why they said Jamie should be out. Aside from making viewers happy, Jamie isn't even included in Braincell for co-host while Cody and Cope are. Yeah, that's a bit questionable. But I do like when there is an intense contestant vote, and this one is one of them. Overall not a bad episode, but not a good one either.
That kind of trash food you eat with your hands is unbecoming of this school! What does that get in your hand right now?
Hey, guys, remember when I said that Paris Infiltrator invalidates episode 12's entire existence? Surely there isn't another episode that Paris Infiltrator invalidates? Oh, another one. Okay, this one isn't as bad as episode 12, but honestly, it's just kinda okay. I will admit, this episode has grown on me. It's a lot better than I gave credit for. The positives, this episode is actually funny. A lot of jokes land. The Hungarian patriot shooting is so bad that it's funny. But Braincell is the highlight of the episode. He has 4 funny moments, and actually has a good development in this episode. Him and Dave are actually pretty good. And this episode is trying to be different from BFTW is a good change. But that is what holds this episode back. While it's nice to not be a copycat of Paris from BFTW, I think not representing Paris really well is kinda the main thing holding this episode back. I've realized that if you want to make a good ass Paris episode, you need either the Eiffel Tower, the Notre Dame, or the Louvre Museum, and this episode has none of them. It's just, wow, Paris catacombs, what a memorable location. And another thing, this episode has a pretty weird pacing, the elimination, and the end where Weevil chooses who gets nominated, honestly goes on a bit too long. But other than that, I don't know, it's funny, I like bologna, and I like the scene where I hold a knife. It's a fine episode, but man, it could have been better. And yep, that's all the seat is. Now it's time for some B-tier episodes that I actually like, starting with So spoiler warning, but the B-tier episodes are gonna go fast because, well, there's nothing really interesting to talk about them, they are just good. However, there is probably one exception to this, and that's none other than the finale of Braincell and the Mysteries, Sweet Victory. Honestly, Grimm just cannot make these finales amazing. They're either rushed, or he just gives up because he suffered a lot. So quick advice, if you're making a finale, then take a break. Oh, we're talking about Sweet Victory, yeah, it's pretty good. It has some problems. The AI voices added is honestly pointless, and that kinda makes the episode awkward. I also don't know why there is no destination this episode, like, isn't this season a world tour? Come on. But other than that, it's a pretty strong end to an amazing season. I think this has the best final 2 out of any season. You want to root for both DJ, and not Zero, which is something finales always should have. The challenges are pretty entertaining. And unlike, episode 4, the OGs are pretty fitting here, because instead of loafing around, they're actually helping the contestants. Not Zero winning is also good. Pretty nice episode overall, even if it gets overshadowed by a certain episode that came before it.
Let's play football.
International love is the textbook definition of good. Besides the commercial break, which honestly just stopped this episode, I don't even like the commercial breaks. It's just solid all around, good challenge, good elimination. 2's first real threatening episode, Maddie is great, the soundtracks are spot on actually. I wish I could say more, but I mean, as I said, this is just good, even if there is no I Show Speed reference.
The Brazilian Hatsune Miku has been deemed by hundreds of millions as a thing of beauty.
Love in the Jungle, it's not even a Valentine's Day episode, but yeah, this one's also good. You might be wondering, Adam, didn't you rank this episode 3rd? Last time, I did, but I kinda overhyped the episode because of Bologna. But the reason why I said that, is because Bologna is one of my favorite characters in Braincell and the Mysteries, and this is definitely his best episode. It's solid all around, great challenge, one of the few cases where Santi was funny, good stuff. I'll admit that despite my love for Bologna, I think he should have been booted this episode, but I mean, that would make the episode actively worse. So it's nice that he's not out. Overall, good episode, even if I like Samba do Rodents Alliance a tad bit better. Alright bozos, we're finally halfway through the list, now we're getting into the real good episodes. We still have to cover a few B-tier episodes, but hopefully, they're done quickly, since as I said, they're just good. As a Romania lover, The Daredevil is an absolutely good episode, and not much more. The elimination was kinda mixed. Dave and Maddie leaving is fine, since both of them wasn't really developed. Speaking of which, when I did my most improved Grimm contestants video a year ago, Grimm said that Dave was trash in season 1. And after I rewatched season 1, I still don't get it. I know he only had AJ, and the epic rap battle, but besides that he genuinely got focus in season 1. I genuinely think he's better in that season. What else does this episode have? Good challenge, it's pretty funny, and yeah, it's good. Moving on. I'm actually speechless. I have absolutely no hesitation to say that the episode that improved the most on rewatch is The Return of the Ham. I consider this the third worst episode of the entire season, but now, it's in the top half of the list. Let me tell you something, Love in the Jungle was my top 3 episode and now, it ranks lower than the episode that was one of my least favorites. What happened? Well, the reason I didn't like it originally is because of Bologna's elimination and the very cringe challenge, but it's been growing on me ever since. Charlie and Cliffside was really funny, and the Weavile elimination was really sweet. One of my favorites in the entire season. He's one of the more harmless contestant in the season. Oh, speaking of the eliminations, another episode that has a viewer voting and contestant vote, and I think this uses it way better. I know making Cliffside immune was like a forced choice, but at least it had to happen, and at least it comes from an episode that's actually good. Honestly, I'm happy that this episode exists. It's still only a B tier episode, but we're slowly getting into the A tiers, so you know what, I'll take what I can get. A really good episode that blew my expectations upon rewatch. Just barely missing out on the top 5 is the episode that Grimm did do plagiarism. Rasputin's Wrath. I like that title honestly, even if Rasputin wasn't an awful person, just rather divisive. He was a womanizer that pulled all the bitches. I really like history, you know. But yeah, I really like this episode. The elimination was fine, but the challenge is where the spark shined. It's a snowball challenge, which basically happened 6 days before the original Snowball episode, which is an episode I actually love, but this one is also really fun. See, this is a better Christmas special than a Christmas special. Bologna is undoubtedly the highlight of the episode though, with some good jokes and actually pretty fun dynamic with Santi. This was his first true episode. It's also shockingly funny. The Not Zero scene is gold. The "Oh no!" moment was also funny, and that's about it. The beginning of the episode was definitely the weakest, which is why I can't rank it any higher, but at the end of the day, it's a really good episode that I ideally consider a classic. It's kinda started to become a bit outdated, which is like every episode of this season, but it will never be a bad episode. And with that, we're officially done with the B tier episodes. Now it's genius tier time. Get it? Because A means smart. I'm gonna broke my life.
So give her back those cupcakes before I knock your block off.
Placing the A tiers was a chore. It took me 1 hour to finalize my A tier rankings, and even then, it's probably the most controversial tier of the bunch, except for the number 5 episode. Thank God for Is That a Bird I See, literally smack dab in the middle of the 2 worst episodes of the season, coming out from the former's frustration and the latter's boredom. This episode isn't just good, but fantastic. It's actually a viewer voting and a purge, which is actually super interesting. The challenges are one of the best in the entire season, which is an impressive bar. And much like episode 16 and 11, the OG cast is a good inclusion. They even added the revenge cast for a proper sneak peek. How nifty. And while the comedy is solid, this episode actually takes itself seriously. The only nitpick I have with this episode is for some reason, the purge challenge is longer than the actual challenge, but I mean who cares? As I said, both of them are some of the most creative challenges in the series. So it's fine. And Santi is gone baby. Overall an absolute blast from start to finish. This is the best episode 13 Phoenix episode ever. It's not a competition, you
stupid BFTW episode. 4-time in the Beninging.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I genuinely love the pilot episode. I mean, pilots should suck. They aren't really the standout episodes of their season, but this is absolutely the episode that actually tries to take itself seriously. I don't have a lot to say about this episode, but here's what it does right. The invitations scene are amazing. I really like 2 in this episode, and luckily, the commercial break in this episode is passable. In fact, it's my favorite commercial break of the season. I actually kinda like the challenge too, even if this is the only episode that uses the point system, which is kinda odd. I guess having stupid names for the commercial breaks is, well, stupid, and the character development isn't great, but we already knew about these contestants from last season. Overall a great episode, and probably the best pilot in the entire series, or maybe it rivals the newest pilot from BFBFCH.
Your channel is nothing. It serves zero purpose. You should reset character now!
Colossal Colosseum. I heard that this episode was awful, and all I'm saying is, you need to be put down in a facility. Holy sh*. Everything about this episode is fire. I know it's the shortest episode of the season, but
oh my god, who the hell cares?
And the editing is inconsistent, because of a long break from Grimm. But other than that, it's everything that Sweet Victory should have been. Climactic. There is barely anything wrong with it, but there are two things that make this episode one of the best. 2 and not 0 is amazing, the best rival hands down. And this all was built up to what might just be the best scene in any episode of the season. 2's crashing on not 0 is so amazing, and it's absolutely the most rewatchable thing in the entire season. 2 and not 0 are two of my favorite characters in the season, but the insane fact that this is both their best episode, yeah, best episode to come out of the second half of the season. I could just dedicate an entire video on this episode, cause it's easily the most overhated episode in the season. Climactic, awesome challenge, 2 and not 0, what's not to love? If it was longer than this would be S tier, but it's still an awesome episode.
Football didn't come home.
As much as I love episode 15, the top 2 are the only real S tiers in this entire season. And honestly, I had to flip-flop on which one should I put at number 2 and which one is the best, but after I watched these episodes 2 times, I've decided that the runner-up is none other than World's Football Collapse. The commercial break is the only real nitpick about this episode, but other than that, practically flawless. Best challenge in the season hands down, which is insane. I also think it's funny, not Santi, let's just ignore that. But practically everyone in this episode gets a chance for development, which is something every single episode should have, unless if there's like 64 contestants. Oh yeah, Weevil taking Bologna to jail, that's one of the funniest things in the season. I don't have much else to say, it's amazing, definitely one of the best in the entire season, but there is one episode that's more epic. Yeah, Spanish Fabs, or Comeback, is a masterpiece. I wanted to put World's Football Collapse higher because it has the best challenge, but then I thought about it and said, there isn't an unnecessary commercial break in this episode. But also, I don't think I can say anything bad about this episode. You know how episode 13 has 2 good challenges, this episode has 3 challenges. I know finales have more, but that's crucial because they are all short, but 3 lengthy challenges and all of them are good. You can see why I love this episode. The coffin is the shortest, but a pretty good tiebreaker. The skull collecting is my favorite, and honestly really creative. And the tag man, that thing is comedy gold, and also kinda epic. I think you can clearly see that this is the most entertaining episode of the season, and I also like a lot of characters. AJ and Hello I Am's dynamic was funny, Roblox was really fun, and Maddie actively fighting Roblox was one of the best jokes of the season. And luckily, I didn't hate Santi in this episode, so that's a good thing. Having 3 challenges is insane, and that makes it one of the most diverse and fun episodes in the entire series. And with really no bad thing to say about it, you earned a certified banger that will never get old. Easily the best episode in Braincells and the Mysteries. So that was Braincells and the Mysteries, a really good season with a ton of awesome things. It's currently my favorite season of the mainline series. And there might be a chance that another video could come, maybe on the 8th of April. Better watch out for the 8th of April. Oh yeah, I'll link Grimm's channel in the description. If it's possible, this might be my last video if I don't pass the new YouTube update, but hopefully I do. See you soon for the next video.